Life is too short to keep books on your shelf that you are not excited about reading. In today's video, I will be unhauling 7 books. 5 of those I have not yet read. They have been on my shelves so long that I have forgotten why I still have them and what interested me about them in the first place. These 5 books were purchased on a whim or when I was at a different place in my life, wanting different things for myself, exploring different genres and different types of stories. But in 2025, I'm trying to read as many of my own books, the ones that I own, the ones that are already on my shelves, as possible. And that means I'm not reading anything that I'm not excited about reading. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Valerie. This is the Book Nook. Thank you for joining me in this cozy corner. Today, I am going to be sharing a little stack of books that I will be unhauling. 5 of these I have not read. I don't plan on reading them, and so they're gonna go back into the book ecosystem. 2 I have read, and I just don't want them anymore. Just because I'm getting rid of them doesn't mean someone else won't want them. They didn't work for me, but they probably will work for someone out there. Described as a poetic memoir, When Women Were Birds by Terry Tempest Williams is a collection of short personal essays. The cover says 54 variations on voice. Terry Tempest Williams' mother gives her a pile of journals. With one caveat, she says, don't read these until I'm dead. When Terry Tempest Williams' mother finally passes away and she opens the journals, she is surprised to find that they're empty. This book is her unpacking all of that, her grief, her relationship with her mother's faith, and with the idea of voice, when we have it, when we don't have it. I have tried to sit with this book a few times. I've cracked it open a couple of times and it just never hit me at the right moment. I'm not sure it ever will. I think it has the potential to be a deeply moving artistic journey, a kaleidoscope of emotions and feelings, a really poignant exploration about what it means to use your voice in the world. I just don't think it's a journey I'm going to be taking, at least not right now. Ursula K. Le Guin is a legend. I read The Left Hand of Darkness a few years ago and absolutely loved it. I was actually very surprised at how much I enjoyed it because of the significant amount of science fiction, political drama world building that's in the book. It was just kind of very dense, but I still found it to be very human. I picked up Ursula K. Le Guin's The Word for World is Forest shortly after reading The Left Hand of Darkness. I was also working on my own novel at the time and trying to find my way into that novel, and it had something to do with trees and with the wilderness and with forest, and I thought maybe this book might help me find my way into my own story. But that was a couple of years ago. That book that I was working on is far in the past. I have moved on to other things, and I never cracked this book open. Now when I look at it, I just kind of feel confused as to why I own it, and I don't really have feelings of wanting to read it anymore. In this book, the inhabitants of a peaceful world are conquered by a brutal invader, shaking the very foundations of their humanity. It's a short book. It's only about 128 pages if you include the introduction from the author, but it feels really out of place in my current reading life, which also feels a little bit tragic considering who the author is, Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm gonna give away an Ursula K. Le Guin book without even reading it. But this is how life is. This is how a reading life is. It's too short to read books that you're not excited about. That's gonna be the theme of this entire video. Don't read books you're not excited to read. Or have some other really good reason to read. You may not be excited about a book where you're like learning how to repair a car, but you need to repair your car because it's broken. We only have so many reading hours in a day, that's all I'm saying. I purchased The Walls Around Us by Nova Ren Suma from the library bookstore when I was a volunteer there. It was during a time when I thought I was gonna start writing a young adult novel. That definitely didn't happen, but I wanted to explore the genre a little bit more. The fleeting idea I had for this young adult novel has long since gone the way of a wispy cloud. I have no interest in writing young adult novels, and neither do I have really any interest at this stage in my life in reading young adult novels. There was a period of time where I really enjoyed them, but I think around the time I hit 40, I just really wanted to start reading older protagonists, ones who are not so fraught and burning with emotions. I think these days I'm just interested in reading more about older protagonists who have very complex, nuanced layers of emotions with things hidden beneath the surface of like, we have it all together, and then of course we don't. And I'm not sure that the young adult books have that. I'm sure some of them do. I'm just not super interested in reading the walls around us at this moment in my life. This is a book about two girls who are living very different lives, yet somehow they are intertwined. They are tied together in some dark and secret way. This seems to be a supernatural tale of guilt and innocence and mistaken identity. I read about 60 pages of Adventures in Opting Out by Kate Flanders before I realized that I am no longer in a place where I need a book like this. And that is actually very good news. Now, Valerie from 5 to 10 years ago probably would have eaten this book up and loved it and learned so much from it. But current state Valerie has spent some time with a good therapist, figuring out how to do a lot of what the author talks about in this book, which is moving through the world with your fear and your anxieties alongside you. This is a combination self-help personal essay book where the author takes the reader along with her as she discovers how to forge her own path in life, how to make her journey the best that it can possibly be. Kind of like this idea of following your heart. And she harnesses one of my favorite metaphors, which is climbing up a mountain anytime you're doing something hard, including just living life. I love the idea of stopping to take in the view. I love the idea of having a summit to move towards. I love the idea of getting lost, of wandering. Don't get too lost. I love the idea of just putting one foot in front of the other, taking it step by step. And there's a lot of that kind of metaphor in this book. At least the 60 pages that I read. I just think I've outgrown books like this, which is both surprising and delightful. Similar to Kate Flanders' book, I am going to be unhauling The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. I just don't think I'm in a place where the words in this book are going to speak to me the way that the author probably intended for the words to speak to the readers. This is a book about self-sabotage, about how to recognize it, how to understand it, and how to put a stop to it in your own life. Basically, it's about how to get out of your own way and step into your power and your potential. From flipping through this one, I do think it is a bit more pop culture, manifest your own destiny type of vibes rather than like an academic psychology book. But it does seem like there could be some really digestible, interesting little nuggets of wisdom in here for anyone who is feeling stuck. I currently am feeling very unstuck, which is great, but that means I don't really want to read this book or need to read this book. So I'm gonna send it back out into the world and hopefully it finds somebody who could really use the words that are inside it. Those are the 5 books that I have not yet read that I'm going to be unhauling from my shelf and counting towards my goal of reading through my own shelves. I'm just trying to clear out as many books from my shelves as possible. Hopefully I will read the majority of them, but I do need to go ahead and get rid of any books that just don't excite me, or if I start reading them and I don't like them. We're not doing that. We're not forcing ourselves to read anything that we don't want to read. The next 2 books that I'm unhauling are books that I have read. I'm just ready to get rid of them. If you miss reading books with animal main characters like Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, The Wind in the Willows, or Redwall, the Shady Hollow series may be right up your alley. This book is by Juno Black. This is the first one. It is magical and quirky and cozy and silly and ridiculous. But also did I mention that it's magical and quirky and cozy. In the village of Shady Hollow, all the woodland creatures live together in harmony until one morning a curmudgeonly toad turns up dead and the whole village is thrown into chaos. We have our main character, Vera Vixen, who is on the case. She is an intrepid Fox reporter, and she is going to do her darn well best to figure out who killed the toad. You have a coffee shop owned by a moose, a bookstore owned by a raven, and a sheriff's department full of bears. This book was mostly pure delight for me, but I had a hard time suspending my belief enough to really sink into the story. I just was fully aware that I was reading about animals who were not acting like animals, who were in fact very much not animals, but like in a way that was okay but not okay, and it was just kind of really confusing while also being very cute. Ultimately, I just don't have any interest continuing on with this series, and so I'm going to put this back into the book ecosystem, and hopefully it will find its way to someone who is more into talking animals than I am. I got The Bodyguard by Catherine Center from a neighborhood little free library, which means I need to send it back out to the neighborhood little free library. That is how that works for me. I take a book from the book ecosystem in my neighborhood. I want to give one back. I had a really good time reading this fake dating romantic comedy. This one features an A-list celebrity who hires a bodyguard to help protect him from a stalker. That's right, him. The hunky celebrity is our male protagonist, and the bodyguard in this case is our female protagonist. She is an executive protection agent, and she has just gone through a really rough breakup and wants to escape her real life for a minute. And what better opportunity than to go live on this A-list celebrity's ranch and take care of him, keep him safe from a crazed fan. Of course, spending all that time together, they do fall a little bit in love. This is a feel-good read with a lot of heart and hijinks. Getting rid of books, especially unread ones, is really challenging for me. I keep thinking, what if I miss out on something good? But I do truly believe in book serendipity. Life is short. Too short to read books that you're not excited about. Remember the theme from this video. But it is also long. And the books that I'm unhauling today may very well find their way back into my life at some point in the future. And if they do, and I'm still on YouTube, I'll be sure to make a video about it. Now, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go to your bookshelf and find at least one book on your shelf that you haven't read and that you should probably unhaul because you're no longer excited about reading it. Let me know which book you found on your shelf in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.